Roman 13, Psychosis Part I. After a couple of days, Luck's heightened state showed no signs of improvement. Concerned for their well-being, the relatives they were staying with decided it would be for their best to visit a local health professional for an assessment. As Luck waited at the practice, they had an unexpected reunion with some old friends and former work colleagues they hadn't seen in a while due to their recent travels. While they engaged in a brief conversation with one of their ex-colleagues, it wasn't long before it was time for their appointment with the health professional. They proceeded into the office to discuss their situation. Inside the professional's office, Luck couldn't shake the feeling of an unusual environment, and a voice in their mind suggested that there were others nearby listening in on the room. Despite this discomfort, Luck proceeded with the examination and did their best to explain the recent events and experiences they had been going through. After the consultation, the professional prescribed medication for Luck, although the exact diagnosis wasn't entirely clear to Luck at the time. The professional reassured them that it was for their best interest and an attempt to help them with their current situation. Luck returned home and followed the professional's instructions by taking the prescribed medication. However, deep inside, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. They believed there was more to the situation than just medication, and they were determined to uncover the truth. Luck was frustrated that no one within their own circle seemed to believe their story, and they couldn't fully understand why. Determined to find answers, Luck decided to take matters into their own hands once again. They felt the need to formally report their situation to the appropriate legal authorities, seeking validation for their belief that the world they were experiencing couldn't be the reality they once knew. Luck realized that there were no legal authorities nearby to report their situation, so they made the decision to travel to another location where such authorities were available. This time, they opted for a different mode of public transportation, choosing to travel by rail. Their destination was not the closest available, but in a place where they had also lived in the past. As Luck embarked on their journey to the other settlement, their heightened state persisted. They couldn't shake the feeling of being followed, and their surroundings seemed filled with individuals who appeared corrupted in some way. The sense of paranoia and unease accompanied them throughout their travels, making every environment seem suspicious. Upon arriving at the destination, Luck was surprised to find that this particular station did not allow personal visits, and instead, one had to communicate with the enforcers beforehand for them to come to you. Uncertain of how to proceed, Luck decided to return to the station, where they would consider their next course of action. Luck passed through the barrier and boarded the vessel, intending to return to the local city where they had first arrived from the airport. However, to their dismay, they discovered that rail transportation services in that direction had been terminated, and there was no indication of when the next service would be available. With this news, Luck looked in their pocket and found they had enough currency and could use the local private road transportation instead. Luck located an available driver, and off they went, this time directly to the enforcers handling walk-in consultations. Upon arriving at the enforcer's office, Luck politely requested to speak with an enforcer and was promptly granted an audience. With a sense of urgency, they began to recount their unusual experiences, even showing the enforcer their broken work device as evidence. However, the enforcer's response was far from sympathetic. Instead, they smiled, further deepening Luck's sense of frustration and confusion. It appeared that no one was taking their story seriously, leaving Luck feeling trapped in a perplexing world where nothing seemed to add up. Overwhelmed by the situation, they left the enforcer's office, their heart heavy with uncertainty about what to do next. With the realization that they were on their own in this perplexing situation, Luck continued to wander through the city. Despite the passing days, not much had changed within them. They held steadfast to their belief in the events they had experienced, even if they were the sole believer in their own reality amidst a world that refused to acknowledge it. As Luck made their way back to the rail station, they deftly maneuvered around a being who carelessly flicked ash across their path. They also passed by a homeless individual, and for a brief moment, their eyes locked in a wordless connection. Luck finally took a moment to sit on a bench near the river, allowing themselves to reflect briefly before resuming their journey back home. Upon returning home, Luck shared the details of their day's journey with their relatives. Concerned about Luck's ongoing situation, the relative suggested that they should see another health professional, this time at a more specialized practice in the city. During the appointment at the specialized practice, Luck once again shared their story with the professional. However, the outcome was much the same, with the professional only prescribing a different medication. Luck was also scheduled for a follow-up appointment in 1 week's time. During that week, Luck stayed at home, spending most of their time watching entertainment and occasionally taking the family pet for walks. Despite the persistent unknown voices in their mind, they believed they had some semblance of control over their situation. Upon returning to the health practice, they were directed to a different building located near the front of the grounds. They waited patiently in the waiting room, surrounded by others who appeared to be at various stages of wellness. When Luck entered the room for the appointment, they were surprised to find a different set of health professionals. This time, the professionals came from more diverse backgrounds than their own. Nevertheless, Luck went ahead and explained their story to the three individuals. After sharing their story, Luck also mentioned that there might be video evidence to corroborate their experiences. To their surprise, one of the professionals responded with, "You are going to get hit." This cryptic statement left Luck even more bewildered and puzzled. Following the consultation, Luck was asked to wait in the waiting room while the professionals discussed their case. After a short while, Luck was called back into the room and informed that they would like to admit them to a clinic for more intensive evaluation and care, where they could closely monitor them on an hourly basis. Luck, realizing they had no legal choice in the matter, agreed to go quietly to the clinic. They requested that the relative who had brought them to the health practice would also accompany them to the next destination. After a 45-minute journey, they arrived at the specialized clinic, a building with multiple secured sections restricted by gender and hierarchy. Luck had no belongings with them. They said goodbye to the relative, who assured them they would bring essential items the next day. Luck was then checked into the facility and was shown to their room. Luck then walked around the building to get a sense of their new environment and encountered several other patients who greeted them warmly. Afterward, Luck returned to their room as they decided to rest. A few hours passed before a healthcare professional woke them up, requesting a blood sample. Luck hadn't eaten since arriving at the clinic, so they hesitated but couldn't decline the request as they were now under the care of the facility. The next day, Luck met with the head healthcare professional at the clinic, who provided a more thorough explanation of the situation. Luck was informed that they had been sectioned and were not allowed to leave the facility for at least the first week. Additionally, their medication was changed once more. At this point, Luck couldn't understand why they were being medicated, but they were told that they had been diagnosed with psychosis. The healthcare professionals explained that much of what Luck had described to them and to law enforcement several times couldn't be the reality, as it appeared to be a manifestation of their mental health condition. With the realization that they were on their own in this situation, Luck focused on the goal of getting discharged from the clinic. They were informed that this would take at least 30 days of evaluation and treatment. We skipped many days where we were in mind wars with invisible people, those they know and those they do not. We cut the shop, the friend, the trip and stay at a grand relative, the work they performed with those relatives, the meal and well, the hello and goodbye covered by a moving rock created by an insect. Roman 14, recovery. The next day, as promised, some of Luck's belongings were delivered to them, allowing them to wash and change their attire. They did not know it at the time, but they were fortunate to have cleaning facilities in their room, which made their stay more comfortable. While it felt somewhat like a low-quality vacation room, even with the restrictions in place. Additionally, they received an old electronic device, providing them with a much-needed tool to pass the time. A week passed, and Luck remained confined to the clinic, with limited access to a small garden for fresh air. Their daily routine consisted of eating meals and taking medication at designated times. The rest of their days were filled with a combination of rest, watching entertainment, and testing their memory using the electronic device. During this time, there were significant events happening in the world, which Luck followed closely through the news channels available at the clinic. Luck had been aware of an impending international crisis a few weeks before the story began and had taken precautions during their travels, including wearing facial protection while using public transportation, unlike many others at the time. Furthermore, Luck learned from the news that the pandemic had reached their motherland and new rules and regulations were being introduced to combat it. It was both an interesting and unsettling time, and Luck sensed that things were likely to worsen. In response to one of the impending challenges, the shortage of available beds, they even created a small digital game to reflect this issue. A day or two into the second week of their stay at the clinic, Luck was called in for another consultation. During this meeting, they were informed that they would be transferred back to the city closest to their home. Without fully comprehending that they had a choice and could potentially decline, Luck accepted the decision, hoping that the change in environment might be an improvement. Transportation was arranged for Luck's transfer, and this time, they would be traveling in an emergency vehicle by road. They greeted the driver and proceeded on the journey with them. After approximately an hour, they arrived at the next clinic, which was older than their last. Upon arrival, Luck had to wait for approximately another hour before they were shown to their new room, room 7. As they entered, they couldn't help but notice that it was considerably smaller and lacked cleaning facilities, which was disappointing compared to their previous. Luck explored the clinic further, discovering a shared garden and common cleaning facilities. While these amenities had their drawbacks due to varying patient conditions, Luck did appreciate the structured daily activities, which catered to patients with different needs and helped pass some time constructively. The next day, Luck had another ward round. Luck reiterated their story to the new professionals, receiving a similar response as before. Their medication dosage was increased, and they were informed they still could not leave the premises until further assessment by the local professionals. During the following week, Luck continued to relax, watch entertainment, and participate in various activities offered at the clinic. They also made use of the on-premises gymnasium to get some much-needed exercise. On attending the next ward round, Luck's mindset had not changed much. They still believed in their original story, but the professionals insisted they would just need more medication. The dosage was then increased once more. However, this time, some benefits came from the round, and they were informed they would be allowed escorted leave. This would mean they were allowed outside the clinic but would need to be accompanied by a professional at all times. Recognizing that insisting on the truth would only lead to more medication, Luck decided to alter their approach. They chose to go along with the professional's recommendations, even though they still believed in the reality of their past experiences. They decided to focus on the future and the prospect of regaining their freedom to explore the world once more. They decided upon becoming a yes being. Over the next 2 weeks, Luck's life at the clinic remained relatively uneventful. They observed the comings and goings of fellow patients, some of whom were in various stages of recovery. Luck had interactions with these patients but preferred to respect their privacy and not disclose further details at this point. After spending 4 weeks at the second clinic, Luck had their final ward round. The professional overseeing their case determined that Luck had made sufficient progress in their recovery and was ready to leave the clinic. It was decided that Luck would continue their recovery at home under the close guardianship of their relatives. The next day, Luck packed their bags and bid farewell to the professional who had provided care during their stay, as well as to the fellow patients they had interacted with. Luck's sibling arrived to pick them up, and together, they left the clinic, with Luck eager to return to the comfort of their own bed. Upon returning home, Luck settled back into their routine for a week, engaging in familiar activities which they partook in before entering the clinic. However, they soon grew restless and decided they wanted to re-engage within a work environment. Their goal was to earn wealth to purchase new devices for work and communication, eventually allowing them to travel again. Fortunately, Luck had maintained strong working relationships with several clients, allowing them to restart work whenever they were ready. Due to their recent health issues, the clients agreed to resume their contract with reduced hours, ensuring a gradual return to their work routine. After a month of gradually returning to their routine, Luck began to feel more like their old self. At the end of this period, they decided to discuss their medication with a weekly visiting health official. They expressed their desire to discontinue the prescribed medication, stating that they had never experienced such health issues before and believed the medication had negative effects on their body most days. The health professional tried to convince Luck to continue taking their medication and even offered alternatives like a 30-day injection. To appease the professional, Luck agreed in principle, knowing they would soon be leaving the vicinity. With their health improving, Luck decided it was time to move again. Despite the ongoing pandemic, certain parts of the world remained open for travel, so Luck still had a few options available for their next destination. To those in the first, we say hello. To those in the second, I understood. One came a long way. The other, I reinvented the game we played on paper into an electronic math lesson. There are many more mysteries within, but none are worth expanding until more is told from their side. Roman 15, captured lands. We will start this chapter by stating that little of importance happens, and we shall pardon you if you decide to skim through and on to the next. Feeling restless, Luck decided it was time to leave the family home where they had been staying for several weeks. They had an urge to move on, but they were still unsure about their next destination. The decision to leave was clear, but the path forward remained uncertain. Luck was eager to explore a new environment that they hadn't experienced before. However, they also needed to consider the possibility of a return in case their health took a downturn. So, they sought a destination that was relatively close by, in case they did indeed need to return due to a relapse. Luck opened their electronic device and browsed the network for available flights to countries within the radius, while the ongoing pandemic had significantly limited their options. Many countries were still closed to travelers, but not all, and the situation was ever-changing. Luck managed to find an affordable deal to a group of islands colonized over 600 years ago, which piqued their interest. They quickly arranged for transportation, and their relative agreed to drive them to the departure point. The prospect of exploring these islands offered a new adventure while still allowing for a relatively easy return if necessary. A few days passed, and with their new communication devices and belongings packed, Luck prepared for their departure. The relative kindly took them to the airport, and after passing through customs, Luck boarded the plane, ready for their journey to the captured islands. Luck felt a sense of calm during this journey, but the voices in their head subsided, and without the paranoia of being watched. The flight was enjoyable and uneventful. It was a short journey. Upon arrival at the new destination, Luck took private local transportation to the vacation complex they had booked. The complex was conveniently located just a short walk from the beach. As advertised, during the next few weeks, Luck stayed at the premises, working during the day, and then taking leisurely strolls along the beach or the pier area, which had a few shops and restaurants. It was worth noting that the beach also allowed nudists, which Luck often found amusing, even though some participants lacked modesty. Overall, it was a pleasant stay in the area. As their booking at the current location was coming to an end, Luck faced a decision. They had to choose whether to stay on the island, move to another island by crossing the sea, or change their location entirely. However, knowing that summer was approaching in another part of the world, one place held a special significance to Luck. They had visited it many times in their youth, and it was calling to them once again. Deciding that this would be the best path forward, Luck needed to choose the exact destination for their next adventure. They based their decision on both the appealing environment and the presence of fellow travelers they had previously met during their journeys around the world. These acquaintances visited this destination annually, and Luck believed they could rely on them if any challenges arose during their stay. The next destination on Luck's journey was the mythical land of ancient gods, an island built by the Ionians. This wasn't Luck's first visit. They had explored this place a few years earlier. With their flight booked, bags packed, and transportation arranged to the airport, it was time for a new adventure, one that would introduce yet another twist to their ongoing story. We will reiterate during this time, nothing unusual happened in our life. However, maintaining this context is crucial as it sets the stage for what follows in the story.